back-to-back years, just Ole Miss zone defense is kind of giving you guys some issues. Just what about it makes it so hard, and what about it allowed y'all to struggle?
Well, again, I think Kermit Davis is one of the best coaches in the country, and he does a great job. He always has. But I mean, we started the game with 3 turnovers that they had nothing to do with. And when you do that, and when key guys, when your starters are in the game and they don't give it to you right off the bat, you can almost feel the weight starting to mount on other guys. And I thought that we got hesitant, and we knew they didn't do one thing today different than we had talked about for a couple days in terms of switching some defenses or 1-3-1, man 2-3, and but we got guys that got hesitant, and when you get hesitant, you're gonna have a hard time shooting the basketball, and guys just dribble with no purpose, and but then obviously they were content to let us throw the ball inside, but we weren't getting anything out of it. I thought Urosh and Olivier, both of those guys have really improved, and I was probably as proud of Olivier as any player tonight. I mean, there's a lot of guys I could talk about the way those 5 guys finished the regular, down, got the lead, got it in overtime. But Olivier, he's never been in this situation. This is the first time he's been in a game where we put him out there when we were behind, and the way he responded, the way his body language and the way he was talking to the guys in the huddle was terrific. And we weren't very good, but I think good teams win games like that when they're not playing good basketball. But again, I don't want to take anything away from Ole Miss because they haven't played since the 21st of December, and I've got the utmost respect for Kermit and his staff. And but we found a way, and they had 27 turnovers, we had 19, and I'm sure they had something to do with some of them. But I can tell you, a lot of them, we just threw the ball away where we were trying to make more difficult passes than we had to. Really, some of them borderline on being ridiculous in terms of just making, and we talk about it all the time, a simple A to B pass. But to win that game, again, by we turned it over 19, but turning them over 26. And we knew they were going to be we knew it'd be in a long possession game. We knew they were going to play deep into the clock, and we knew that would happen. And so that means you're playing defense for a long time. Can you say, does that affect you on the offensive end? It shouldn't if we can rely on our depth the way we want to. But we asked Shaq to go in the game, and we said, you got to change the game by getting some offensive rebounds. He got 3 of them. Urosh was trying to do what we needed him to do. But, again, I'm not taking anything away from Ole Miss, but I just know a lot of those turnovers, we put it on ourselves.
Obviously, the offense was rough, but defensively, you guys had a lot of shot clock violations, backcourts, all these sorts of things. How pleased were you with that side of the ball?
Well, defensively, the numbers are there. It tells the story there. I mean, and another thing, when you're behind, you're struggling like that. I mean, the other team feels it too. I mean, they feel the hesitancy, and then they're starting to feel good about themselves, and then you maybe lose just a little bit on the defensive end because, you start thinking about the offensive side of it. But for our guys to stay locked in defensively the way they did is really good. And we talk about it. We'll play defense and rebound regardless if we have a bad night, and we had an awful night offensively. We still can find a way to win a game, and that showed tonight. But, rebounding and our defense is what won the game. Certainly our offense. And then at the end, we kept telling guys, you got to shoot the ball. And finally, Santi got some looks like the one he had in transition early where he made a tough pass to Fulke who ran over somebody, and he should have shot it. He's being guarded so hard that when he gets a look, I don't care when it is, he's got to shoot it because he's that good a shooter. But I said to John Sunvold tonight before when we were talking about the game, I said, it's the best league in the country. Every night you got to go into it like it's going to be a possession game, and that's what I think. I mean, I've got so much respect for, again, Kermit and his staff and this league that it's never going to be easy, and if it is, it's a rarity.
Coach, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but how big was Santi? He scored 12 points in the last 8 minutes and change of the game, and you mentioned that you had some guys that kind of backed away from it, but it didn't look like he looked like he stepped up and embraced the pressure.
Well, we told him, and again, the coaches kept asking me, said, "You think we need to give Santi a blow?" And I said, "He'll make that call." And I kept asking him. I said, "You good?" He said, "I'm good." And I think Santi is in elite shape, and people are not going to give him anything easy. They're not. They're going to make him work, but he affects the game. He plays so much bigger than his size. I don't know if people really realize that, all the little things he does. Josiah does the same thing. What they do on the defensive end and the way they're locked in, and they can really help other guys, through what we're doing. But we had too many guys back down when they had shots because it wasn't going in. But again, we said one of you guys is going to have to step up and shoot the ball. Somebody's going to have to do it. And O went in the game and made that little jump shot. And Zakai, got downhill. Anytime he made that pass through the legs, it was a phenomenal pass. And even the one he threw around the shoulder, where I think that Olivier wasn't quite sure, but he was getting the ball downhill where we wanted it. But again, it was just a really tough, hard, not very pretty game, but it was a great win for us with the way it played out.
Basketball's sort of actually a game of runs, but there seem to be times where, your team's offensive stretches or those bad runs, they just go on for a long time. What leads to that? Is it guys getting in a funk, not wanting to take the shot?
I think what Rob said, you can't have guys on offense going back down when they're not making shots. You got to take your shots, and we have to. And I told our guys before the game, I do think that we're a physically tough team. We got to get tougher mentally, and mental toughness is when things aren't going your way. You still believe in your training. You believe in what we do, and when you're open, you got to take shots. When like for instance our inside game, those guys should have all the room in the world because they're not going to leave Santi. Whether you look at our numbers where they don't look very good, but people have seen enough where they know that those guys will shoot it, and we have to shoot it, but we got to shoot it like we know we can make it. Not hoping it's going in, we got to just shoot it. And at the rim, we missed 2 layups where we should just go in and try to score it. If they block it, they block it. You can't go in and do all this stuff and not get anything out of it. And if they block it, they make a great play, pat them on the butt and say, "Hey, great play." But we got to convert some of those that when we get out and especially when we had turned them over 27 times. We had how many steals? 17 steals. We should be getting more out of that. And but when guys are backing down from their shots, it's tough and wanting to drive and kick it. And what happens when you back down, when you don't take the shots you need to take or should take, you go looking for trouble, or because you're hesitant, you end up with 19 turnovers.
It seems like Santi, the bigger the moment, the more he steps up to do something about it. What goes into that with him, and how do you get other guys to have that same mentality?
Well, the two guys, if you guys watch this practice, the two guys that play like they do every day is Santi and Zakai. They're the two guys that are the most consistent guys on our team. They're in elite shape. They bring it every day, and they get in the game. They trust it. I think and nobody. They're going to guard Santi. He's got to work, and then you take that in the fact he played 41 minutes, and if you watch what he does on the defensive end, it's really impressive. He is guarding on the defensive end. He at the end of the game he did. Fagan had gotten in a really a rhythm, and at the end Santi did a great job that last part of regulation, the overtime. But we just need, and I've said it, we got to get everybody doing what we know they can do. Confidence shouldn't be a problem, but again, when you start the game the way we did with key guys, not getting it done the way you want them to, that weight starts to mount on other people, which if we got to keep searching to find the right lineup to start, we'll do that, because again, you're going to have some games like this. You don't want to have them, but you are. But if you can win them, it's a great thing.
The 17 steals and the 27 turnovers forced are both Barnes' era highs. Go to the back, then Ben, then Mike.
Coach, Kennedy was held scoreless for the better part of about 3/4 of the game, only 3 shots tonight. Do you think that was more attributed to Ole Miss's defense and how they were able to play? Kennedy Chandler. Or you think that was more just his time being away from the offense
Again,
recently?
I think you got to give Ole Miss credit for whatever. I do. I think you have to do that. But you saw when he got aggressive and wanted to get to the rim, he did. Like he asked me, he said, "What should I have done in that last possession of the game?" I said, "Go make him foul you. Put pressure on him." And we tell him, you know, the guy gets it where he wants it. Kennedy's got to do that. I mean, it's in his game. He's got to be able to do that because he's got that kind of speed. He's got the ability to make layups at the rim when he gets there. But he's learning that this game is a lot harder than he probably thought it was going to be. But he's got to believe in it. And also, I mean, people back off of him a little bit. Yeah, do we want him to raise up when he's got that? But we got to be tough enough at the end of the game, especially with the score tally. We got to go. We don't have to settle right there.
Rick, with John and Kennedy, do you feel like missing last game due to COVID impacted them tonight?
I don't know. I don't know. But you know what? I tell you what it has done is given us confidence that Olivier and that small lineup can go. Urosh is coming. I mean, those guys are going to have to work through that. I mean, they're going to have to do it. I can't tell you that. They didn't practice like it. I mean, neither one of them has practiced the way they played today with that. So I don't know if I could put that on the COVID. You have to give, again, I think you got to give Ole Miss. I mean, John's in there trying to do all the – he's in the league now. People have game planned for him longer. They're not going to let him ball and do all that stuff. They're going to stay down, and he's going to have to shoot the ball. We told him if he'd play quicker, I mean, the start of the first half, he had a chance to come right across the lane and catch it for a layup, and he slowed getting there. Then he could have got it up a quick up. He's going to have to realize that people want to get him in a physical game. They want to put their bodies on him. So he's going to have to be more elusive and understand what's going on around him.
Rick, we've talked a lot about Olivier lately. Is this the best kind of string of doing his job and fulfilling the things he's had?
You know, Mike, I thought, again, could I say this, that? The best thing was he was locked in to this game. That's the best thing he did. And I don't know if I've ever seen him like this, where he was talking more than he's ever talked in his life during the game at the end. I mean, he just kept talking, hey, guys, and maybe as much as anybody. I mean, you can imagine Santi, and during those timeouts, Santi and Josiah, guys, they're trying to catch their breath. But when Olivier came in, he made that jumper. That was big. And just at the end of the game, when he had that foul that he shouldn't have had, and I asked him, I said, well, what are you thinking right there? He said, well, I thought it was there. I said, you have to be 100%, or you got to, we can't stop the clock when we got a lead right here. But I thought just his presence, his body language, his mindset was, again, he's never been in that situation. Tonight's the first time he's really been there when we were trailing. He had to help us get back in the game and help us win the game. I'm really, I told him, I said, I'm really proud of you because hopefully this is going to be a game changer for him and he can continue to build on it. A lot of guys are in new roles this year. I mean, games like this. I mean, Urosh is getting more minutes because he's starting to figure out more what we need him to do. Those couple buckets he made were really big, but there's some good things. We just need everybody, not just two or three of them, but we need everybody doing it.
Hey, Rick, how much is Santiago's defense improved from last year to this year, and how much is that a part of what you guys are doing as a team on that end?
Well, Santi, again, I will tell you, this is the longest he's been here. I mean, his first year, you guys know he walked in here in January. The following year was a COVID year. He played with his national team back home. Then he got here, I think, the end of July. But he came back in tremendous shape. I mean, he is in elite shape. And he plays hard. He's he plays the game. He's smart. That's why we kept telling him, hey. But I realize when I tell him you got to shoot the ball, I mean, he's got to work for everything he gets because people are really locked into him. We were trying to get a ball screen action going with him on one side by himself, and believe it or not, guards kept going the wrong way because they were not leaving him. They were absolutely not going to leave him, and so that takes away that tag on that side. And and we got a little bit of it, pick and roll. We got some of it out, but we should have gotten more than we did because of the fact that he is almost letting us play 4-on-4 on offense.
Last one in the back to Reese.
You've spoken pretty highly of Zakai. What makes him so composed as a freshman when time is winding down and he's getting end of game minutes?
You know, as I've gotten to know him, you know, I'll go back. You know, he has surprised us all, really. I mean, he came in here a week late, and just amazing what he's been able to do, understanding things. And I remember we're getting ready to play Villanova, and he said, I said to him, we're just through with practice. I said, I'm not sure you're going to be able to play in this game. He said, what do you mean? And, you know, he's got that deep voice. I said, well, these guys like to back guards down and jump over them. He said, Coach, there's nobody going to back me down, you know. And then Texas Tech, we talking about switching. And in that game, both he and Kennedy proved that they can guard post guys if they have to. But it's in his DNA. You know, I've told you guys before, during the recruiting process, when I would call him and I could hear he was on the subway or the train going somewhere, and he's the first guy in years that I asked him, are you playing indoors or outdoors today? Tonight, I'm outdoors tonight. I came in here Sunday on a day off. He was in the gym shooting with Coach Lentz. He was in here early, and again, he's like Santi. He plays all day. I think he's got a short memory. You know, he turns it over, but I'll get it back. I know, I get it. He's learning. Again, think about it. He's never been in the environment he's been in this year, and I would say he's responded as well as anybody that we have. But it really he believes in himself. He believes in what he does to get ready. But it's in his DNA.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.